What is the greatest meal you've ever had? So your last meal. Let's go. If one more meal, I get to murder you after this. This is your last day. We get to spend it together. Where in the world would you go? What would you eat?
I would say the most delicious thing is bone marrow, and I would love a full meal of bone marrow for my last dish. I did on my birthday in 2002 ate a kilogram and a half of crab meat in Kamchatka, and that was also amazingly delicious. The king crab they have there is incredible. But I would go with bone marrow, which is I think just one of the most delicious foods, and it's sort of this weird body part. It's basically all your stem cells, not all of them, but the stem cells that produce all your blood cells. So they are spitting out billions of white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets every day. And there's a bunch of fat in there as well. Just one of the places the body stores fat. And so you basically add heat, and that's all you need. It's like the perfect food. You add heat. The fat for frying the stem cells is already there. There's naturally a bone vessel to contain it all. Probably add some flavor too. It's like the perfect food.
What does it matter which animal?
I prefer a larger animal just so there's more of it.
I actually like. Well, that's true. I actually really like sort of bone marrow from like chicken bones.
Right, just sucking it out of the bone.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm known for leaving absolutely nothing edible on the plate except bone itself.
There's one other human I know that loves bone marrow as much as you do, and that's Joe Rogan. So go. It's unnatural how much that man loves bone marrow.
I understand why. It's amazing.
I love the steak part. The bone marrow. Like, you know what? Let me argue with you because I don't know. It could be an acquired taste, but there's just too much. It's like too much with too little work for it. Like it's as if you gave me lobster meat without the lobster having to clean the lobster.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like I'm spoiling myself. So it's very fatty. I don't know. Maybe I want to work for something that tastes like that.
Well, if you start from the whole animal, you do have to work to get at it, right? A lot of animals have the teeth and the jaw muscles to chomp through bone. We do not. So, when you buy it from the store, it's already sawed up. But I've definitely gotten marrow out of deer bones, with a hatchet, just chop off the fat end and start spooning it out.
Well, maybe I'll revisit it. That's fascinating. And where would you eat it? Where, in which place of the world? Is there something about who cooks it, who you eat it with? You're not allowed to pick your family,
right?
So, like, which place in the world, rural or in the city, those kinds of things. You've been to so many fascinating places.
I would say Antarctica, I would say, is one of the most picturesque places I've ever been. I really did not I didn't know how mountainous it was. And I guess I knew there'd be ice, but just I didn't know how much ice it was. It's ice and mountains, just overwhelming. I just, as kind of overwhelming bone marrow might seem to you, sort of that feast for your eyes. And just ice in general is amazing. Like the icebergs floating around Antarctica is just astounding. Like the different shapes, the sizes are incredible. There's actually I believe it's U.S. Navy website that tracks the largest icebergs, and you can read about each of them and how big they are, and just the formations you see. Similar up near Greenland, though I have not been to Greenland. Just ice in general is just amazing. So I could just look at its different forms while eating bone marrow forever until you kill me, that is.
Yeah, and afterwards we go. It's back to the death and sex. What is it about the ice? Is it sort of the enormity of nature? It just reminds you that it's going to be there before you and after, and then you get to partake in the eating of the thing you need for maintaining of your temporary biological organism.
Yeah, I think it's a few things. One is just the shapes that you see, the wave action, just eating away at these pieces of ice. You get these arches and just these shapes. I mean, it's just like
geometry of it.
The geometry alone is amazing. I studied math as an undergrad, and I've always appreciated geometry. And just the shapes alone look like brilliant works of modernist art. And just obviously no two are ever the same. Not to mention, a lot of them are this unearthly blue color that is just really startling and fascinating. The same color of glaciers, in various parts of the world. That blue color is just really amazing. And I also just love how it's sort of this constant shedding from our Antarctic continent, from Greenland. It's this constant process of snow falling inland and pushing the glaciers further out to sea and them breaking loose. I mean, obviously, it seems to be happening faster these days, but it's sort of this constant shedding and sort of, I always like thinking about how the body has something similar. We're constantly shedding and renewing and rebuilding everything. And so ice is sort of this constant similar process.